The nighttime silence in Kishan's village used to be peaceful, but over a few short weeks, that quiet turned suffocating as an unseen threat locked every family inside their homes. One by one, the residents started getting sick. They didn't have a fever or a cough. Instead, people began sleepwalking. They wandered the dirt roads at night, muttering strange phrases and voices that clearly did not belong to them. The psychological toll hit immediately. Waking villagers became so paralyzed by paranoia that they flinched at the sight of their own shadows, terrified of what might be standing behind them. This was no medical virus passing from house to house. The village was facing a systematic paranormal contagion. The infection began with Ramesh, the son of the village head. His decline started with a total refusal of food and water. Then came the nightly trances. Ramesh would leave his bed and walk to the village boundary, drawn to a massive, ancient banyan tree. His father tried to lock him inside and reason with him. Logic failed, however, when the person staring back at him answered in a deep, unfamiliar growl. The situation rapidly turned lethal. One evening, Ramesh broke away, ran to the village well, and threw himself into the black water. Ramesh's death acted as the breach point. Once he was gone, the entity he carried was released to move through the rest of the community. Sitting in the dark outside his home, Kishan caught a sudden, rotting smell on the wind. He tracked the stench to a dim light inside Ramu Kaka's hut at the village edge. Inside was Ramu's son, Mohan. Normally the strongest, most cheerful kid in the village, Mohan now sat on the floor with bloodshot eyes, violently snapping at the air. As Kishan stepped through the doorway, Mohan's body seized. His limbs contorted at severe angles, and his pupils rolled completely back into his skull. Ramu Kaka was known as the bravest elder in the area, but he sat frozen in a corner, weeping. The contagion had neutralized his will to fight back. The outbreak worked by systematically overwriting the host. Mohan's familiar personality was gone, replaced by a volatile, violent stranger that shared only his face. Mohan stopped thrashing. When he finally spoke, his mouth moved, but the voice echoing off the mud walls was hollow and ancient. It bypassed Ramu entirely and addressed Kishan directly. This topological map reveals the area's history. Centuries ago, this flat farmland was a raised earthen mound, eventually leveled by settlers. But the land was occupied. The original owner was murdered for his property. His vengeful spirit remains trapped in the soil. The entity intended to inhabit every living person in the village, using their bodies to destroy the community and return the land to its original, empty state. Kishan lunged forward to pin the boy down. But the second he grabbed Mohan, he felt skin as cold as ice. Mohan effortlessly swiped his arm, throwing Kishan across the room. Physical strength was useless. This presence was anchored to the geography of the village itself, far beyond the reach of human muscle. Kishan abandoned his physical tactics and recalled his grandmother's lore regarding dark entities. She taught him certain objects of natural purity could repel spirits that physical force couldn't touch. He needed the village temple's tulsi, or holy basil plant. In traditional Indian practice, the tulsi is treated as a sacred botanical shield, believed to repel spiritual corruption on contact. He yelled at Ramu Kaka to grab a small tin of dried tulsi leaves nearby. As Kishan took a handful, the spirit laughed, mocking the simplicity of the weapon. Kishan stepped past the thrashing arms and slammed a single dried leaf directly onto Mohan's forehead. The reaction was instantaneous. Mohan's body convulsed into a rigid arch, and a dense, black mist violently erupted from his chest, dissolving before it hit the ceiling. The centuries-old connection to the soil was severed. The simple botanical defense had forced the entity out of the living host. Mohan collapsed to the dirt floor. When he opened his eyes, the red veins were gone. He was confused and exhausted, but his original personality had returned. With the central point broken, the cascading effect reversed. Over the next few days, the sleepwalkers woke up, and symptoms across the village began fading. This map of the village illustrates Tishan's long-term solution. To prevent the contagion from returning, he organized the planting of a defensive ring of tulsi. The villagers placed the plants tightly around the ancient banyan tree and the outer boundary lines, building a permanent quarantine. While ancient grievances can be unearthed by greed, the community found its protection in the simplest traditions of nature and heritage.